What is up, guys? Today I wanted to revisit the Galaxy A20. This is still one of my favorite little budget phones, and it received the Android 10 update. That's why I was really excited about it. This is the Metro by T-Mobile version, or the Metro PCS. And yeah, so this phone is still going for around 200 bucks, but if you get it locked, you can find it much cheaper, like around 150. And I'll put the links down below, but I still prefer this phone over the A21 that came out, and the A21s and the A20s. So there is one main reason, and it's because of the display. You do have that AMOLED display on here, and they got rid of it and they went with like a TFT display, and it just did not look good from the comparisons and everything that I saw. So let's go ahead and get into it. So this phone still has a pretty nice design. Yes, it does kind of look a little dated because most phones have that little square camera modules, and you have quad camera set up now, so you just have the dual camera set up, but the design still looks pretty good to me. You have your fingerprint scanner right here, flash, power button, volume rockers on the side here, SIM tray. Down below we have our headphone jack, USB Type-C, and single firing speaker. And one of the things I noticed as soon as you get Android 10 is the dynamic wallpapers. If you swipe over, you will be able to like select categories, and every time you turn your phone on, you'll get a completely different wallpaper, as you can see, which is something that I always like. If you're just really into wallpapers like me, then that is a feature that you'll really enjoy. Just to show, we are running Android 10, as you can see, boom, right there with the One UI 2.0. And yeah, I haven't really noticed a huge speed improvement. Not that the phone was slow by any means, but I have noticed that animation stutter has really gone away. This phone used to have a lot of stutters and stuff like that. It's something that I noticed over time using it, and that is gone. It's really smooth now. But as far as like launching applications and everything is still pretty much the same speed. I haven't really noticed a difference with that. The gestures on here feel really smooth, so just swipe up. The bar is kind of like small, which I don't know how some people feel about that, but it's fine, it works. You know, on a thread I saw people complaining about it. I don't see a big issue with the bar here, and everything that you love is still there. The pop-up window, you can go ahead and change the aspect ratio, all that stuff you can go ahead and play with. Split screen is still very easy. Now again, I just prefer the AMOLED display. I think the colors look so much better, and it's just definitely more color accurate and poppy on these AMOLED displays as opposed to the TFT ones that they have. So just watching videos and stuff like that is really nice. Now Samsung has moved away from the wide drop notch to the punch hole, which is something that I really like. I think that's a really solid upgrade. But as far as what I choose, like the punch hole over having an AMOLED display, I would really choose the AMOLED display all of the time. It just looks really great. It's very bright, and I just always have preferred that. That's the main thing about this phone that I really loved, was just how nice the display was. You don't have a lot of AMOLED displays, you know, for 200 bucks and stuff like that. They pop up more days now, but you know, last year you weren't really seeing that a whole bunch. You do have a single firing speaker on here, so let's go ahead and turn it up. And from what I remember, it sounded pretty good. So definitely is loud enough to do whatever you need to. You know, if you need to hear something in a noisy environment, it's definitely loud enough. Is it the best speaker that I've heard, single firing speaker? No, it's not as loud as some of the other ones that I have tested out, but definitely will get the job done. Also, one thing I noticed is that the Samsung Edge is not here like it used to be by default. That is something that I noticed. And also, all your essential stuff is still really here. Your secured folders, Dolby Atmos. Of course, you still have your dark mode on here, focus mode, all of that stuff. And then you have your advanced features on here. one-handed mode. All that stuff is still on here. That Samsung Edge thing is one of the things I noticed was not there. Two ways of getting into the phone. You have the fingerprint scanner, which works very fast. So just go ahead and open it. Boom. Do it again. Boom. And it is kind of like a little higher up, which is kind of weird because most of them you would find them right here, but I've always gotten yeah, so sometimes my finger hit here because if you look at like they're usually right here instead of up here, so it always throws me off when I use this phone. But very easy to get to. The face unlock is also very fast, and that works. Now, just talk about these specs. You do have a 6.4 inch 720p display, 268 for the PPI, and yeah, I do kind of notice like the PPI now because I usually use phones that are like 350 up, and yeah, you definitely notice now a little bit with the icons. You can kind of see they're not as sharp as phones with higher PPI or 1080p display. That is one thing that I've noticed. You do have the Exynos 7884 and Mali G71. Micro SD support is on this phone, as well as 32 gigs of internal storage and 3 gigs of RAM. And this phone also has NFC on board as well, so I really like that. You can use this phone for mobile payments, which is really awesome. So when you're gaming on this phone, gaming experience is still pretty great on here. Now, it's not gonna be, you're not gonna be maxing everything out, of course. And last time I checked, Fortnite was not compatible, but just to show you these settings. So you can game medium to high settings, so that's the kind of gaming experience you should expect on here. It's medium. Not getting any sound. So again, gaming on here is perfectly fine. Like I said, you know, you won't be maxing everything out, of course, but like I said, the colors on the screen really pop, and I just really prefer that over the sort of wash colors that the A21 has, and just the TFT displays in general. Now, if it was an IPS display that they went with, then it wouldn't be so bad, but I just really don't like how the TFT displays look. Now, let's talk about the cameras on this phone, because they were one of the best features that I liked about this phone when I first got it. So you have a 13 megapixel wide and a 5 megapixel ultra wide, 1080p video, 8 megapixel selfie camera. The cameras on here are actually pretty decent for this price point. I still think they're pretty competitive to some of the best budget phones out in its price range. As you can see, when you're in good lighting, you get a lot of detail, punchy colors. I mean, it's just really nice. Dynamic range, the color science is, you know, the classic Samsung sort of oversaturated kind of punchy kind of thing going on, and I just really like it. The front facing camera is really good. It does pretty good in, you know, not so bright environments, but overall the cameras on this phone are perfectly fine. Yes, are you missing the depth sensors and the macros that these phones have, but if you don't really find yourself using the depth sensors and the macro sensors, then you can definitely pick this phone up for really cheap and be satisfied with the camera quality on it. I definitely think it's still pretty good going into late this year and next year. So let's go ahead and talk about battery life. So you have a 4,000 milliamp battery with 15 watt fast charging. And basically, you can get through a day with this phone pretty easily, but that's about it. I usually cannot get like a day and a half out of this phone, so you definitely won't be able to do that. But battery life is still solid on here for a full day. You will not be stressing out over charging your phone, especially with this guy. Now, one of the things I've noticed is that since fast charging on phones have gotten more powerful, this phone has 15 watts and it definitely takes a little bit longer to charge. Even if you have a phone with 18 watt or 20 watt or whatever, you're gonna notice the difference on how slow slow this phone charges. But it's not a huge deal, but definitely one thing that I've noticed now that time has gone on. But overall, the A20 is still an excellent phone. This phone has aged well. I think this phone getting Android 10 with One UI 2.0 definitely makes it an attractive buy to a lot of people as well. So what do you guys think about the Galaxy A20? Be sure to let me know, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.